Toxic top rope coming for your throat. Random show with input stories I never wrote. Don't be mean, hit that subscribe. Cross the line, take a dive. Toxic top rope coming at your throat. I'm happy when I see your click because I done started a show. You can judge, but it's just the start. Just leave comment, a like and subscribe. Welcome to the Toxic Top Rope, but we don't make sense because it's completely random. This I also go on, important to form.
People, I woke my wife up or whatever because I was yelling about the ending of AEW Dynasty. Like, I don't really understand who's booking the show. Like, I have a very strong opinion about AEW, but like, I want to know who booking the show. Hey, how you doing? Like, let's just get started. Like, we're gonna start at the pre-show, and I usually don't start at the pre-show, but I got a reason. So on the pre-show, we had Nick Wayne and the crew, which is Action Andretti and Leo Rush, taking on AR Fox and Top Flights, Dante Martin and Darius Martin. It was a fine match. That was just all over the place with the high flying or whatever. And Nick Wayne and the crew took the victory. We ain't gonna spend too much time there. The next match was the the rapper Max Caster, the greatest wrestler alive, open challenge where he been jobbing every single week on Dynamite. He calling out his opponent because he usually loses every single time. Partner Anthony Bowens. Anthony Bowens comes out. He looks very, 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 very good. He new gear, new music. Billy Gunn came out with him. He came out. He looked like Buzz Lightyear with his gear, and then all of a sudden, it was a mini back and forth between him and Max. And then he did a roaring elbow, which just him sprinting in a circle, hitting him with the forearm, and then he won. Max Caster is a whole jobber. And that means that, but I've been saying to my friends, we all watch wrestling, that Anthony Bowens should have been the star from the beginning. So it's like, why we wasting time with Max when we have Anthony Bowens? Anthony Bowens is spectacular. And you know, I love him because he's gay. So I love me some Anthony Bowens. And that's my favorite wrestler, one of my favorite wrestlers right now. So it's really great. Going into the main show, we're going into the main show with the men's Owen Hardcore tournament. I really love that AEW really likes the Owen Hart tournament. It's trying to keep the legacy of Owen Hart alive in a way that the other company, WWE, does not. So I really approve of it. And I love the belt that they give when people win. Like, let's get into the match. The first match of the night was Mr. High Flying himself, Mr. Hidden Blade. You got Will Ospreay, who took on one of my guys. I love New Japan, who came through the LA dojo, Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight, a black dude, very good with high flying. You can tell right away that Kevin Knight was younger, faster, and hungrier than Will Ospreay because Kevin Knight was moving so fast, Ospreay couldn't keep up. But it was a real good match. Moves and because I don't care, I don't care nothing about that. But it was a real good match that led until Mr. Mr. Ospreay taking home the victory and moving on to the next round. Our next match was something that I was very confused about. It was the Hurt Syndicate. We heard people, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, with MVP taking on the learning tree of Big Bill and Brian Keith. First of all, I didn't understand why they gave Big Bill and Brian Keith a pay-per-view check, because that's how I say it. They gave them a pay-per-view check for no reason. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for everybody that's coming in. But like, they gave Big Bill and Brian Keith the pay-per-view check for no reason. Because what was the point of them getting the title match? They came out there, they tried to go back and forth with Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. They could not. Big Bill got in a lot of moves, and then it broke the storyline because they've been arguing with back and forth trying to they're gonna recruit MJF. So we get into towards the end of the match. Big Bill and Bobby Lashley on the outside of the ring. Something happens to where the referee is distracted in the ring. MJF used that ring he always got on, knocked Big Bill out. I mean, he out of the match. They come back in. Shelton Benjamin does a move to Brian Keith and then finishes off with the spear. And then he lackadaisical. Shelton Benjamin put his hands on Brian Keith's chest. And 1, 2, 3. That was a waste of a match. It was a waste of a match. What was the point of that? There was 0 point to that. What was the point? What was the point? That was a waste of a match. The match was 11 minutes of nothing. That was a waste of a match. The next match is the former Sasha Banks from WWE, Miss CEO, Miss Mercedes Moné taking on the young and hungry Julia Hart. My issue with Julia Hart first is that she's very young, very talented, but still so green in the ring. Green means that she's very inexperienced when it comes to big profile matches. So I love Julia Hart's clothes. I love her gear. I love her hat. I love her theme music that she sings, but she was completely not ready for Mercedes Moné. But Mercedes Moné did the best she could to guide her to where they needed to go in the match. And it kind of just was mediocre. And she did her finisher, which I forgot the name of, and kind of made her, it was over with. It was over real fast. So there was 0 point for them putting her in there with her if they were not going to even attempt to put anybody over. Because my thing is that Mercedes Moné, I wish I can, when I learn how to use, I'm on StreamYard on my computer, when I learn how to use this stuff correctly, I will be able to show you that Sasha Banks, I mean, Mercedes Moné got like 1,000 belts. Why is she in the tournament to go for the world title? Like, I don't understand that. Like, what was the point of Mercedes Moné being in the Owen Hart Cup when she got like 8 belts? She got like 8 belts wrapped around her body. What is she like? What's the point? So, but Mercedes Moné, she did good with guiding the young talent. Then they went to the next thing. And then we got match number 6, which I thought was rated FTR, which is Edge, but they call him Cope now. Such a stupid name. Cope is such a stupid name. But Cope, Cash Wheeler, and Dax, that's FTR, face the Death Riders, who have been ruining the ratings of AEW. I mean, the Death Riders have been destroying the ratings. I ain't mean the good way. I mean like on some NWO, WCW stuff. Like, they are tanking the ratings with this group. It's terrible. They don't walk out with the belts, with the 6-man belts. Moxley don't walk out with the world title. Marina Shafir having in the suitcase the whole time. They beating up and burying the whole roster every week. What is the point of that? But anywho, I thought, because the story leading up to this is Cope, at the last pay-per-view, Revolution, he tried to get the belt from Moxley, was unsuccessful. So they're still trying to break down the Death Riders. So you got FTR and Cope, who's facing the Death Riders. Death Riders in this match is Claudio, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta. Boom. I'm thinking, okay, they about to lose because they haven't been walking around with the belts. They haven't been defending the belts. So I was like, they're finna give it to Cope and, FTR, and let them run, because FTR one of the coldest tag teams in the world. So I'm like, I know they're about to get these belts to them. No. The Death Riders take the victory with belts they have not been walking around, with belts they have not been promoting, with belts they have not been defending, with belts that people forgot that they existed into this match. So they kept the belts. And then after the match, I skipped some, so you can understand this next part. Cash Wheeler and let me look up at his name. Dax Harwood have been having back and forth for weeks because of some breakup between the FTR. So I'm thinking that they finna break up another team and have these whole singles. No, they jump Edge and drop him and hit him with his move of the concerto and turn heel. Like this show don't already have enough heel, and this show don't have enough nonsense that don't make sense. It don't make sense. Like that didn't make sense. So they jumped on Edge. So Edge now has, Cope has no friends. No friends. His best friend, Christian Cage, him and them fought. They not friends no more. And then FTR jumped him for no reason. So we got to listen to that dumb promo on Wednesday. Don't make sense. I got a headache. My headache started right there. And then we went into the next match with Timeless Tony Storm and Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne is super green and new to AEW, but she's a veteran on the indies. And Timeless Tony Storm has the best female gimmick in the world. She plays I don't know the time period on the years, but Timeless Tony Storm plays a character from like those era of when the women couldn't accept, when they were movie stars, they couldn't accept when the younger women came in. You remember they used to make those dark, like the fallen star or whatever. She took on that type of role. Like, man, I want to say 50s or 40s or 50s or 60s, something like that. And she has a great character. And I have nothing negative to say about this match. The ladies worked their style. Tony Storm worked the gimmick. She worked the style. She worked the crowd. She put Megan Bayne in a position to look great in front of the camera, to look great in front of the crowd. Everything was working. And it ended with Tony Storm getting like a roll up, which sets up to where there can be a rematch with Megan Bayne, and it don't bury her by just beating her with her finisher, so they can set up a rivalry. That's what Tony Storm does. So I'm expecting a rivalry in the coming weeks to lead to a second match. Tony Storm took the victory and retained the women's championship. The next match, we get right back into the men's Owen Hart Cup quarterfinals. We got Kyle Fletcher with representing Don Califano taking on Mark Briscoe. This match was way more brutal and hardcore than I expected. I thought they were going to have because they both hit hard physically. I thought they was going to have like a back and forth striking match, but it was not that at all. They brought in chairs and flew out the ring, and Kyle Fletcher really brought it to Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe is really tough. So that was almost my match of the night for the men, but it was very good. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it a lot. And coming towards the end, Kyle Fletcher, the proto star, he took the victory over Mark Briscoe. I'm very happy about it. I don't want to see him and Ospreay wrestle again, but that's going to happen. These folks, I'm a sidebar. When Will Ospreay, because these folks best friends in real life, when Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher wrestle each other, it's like watching a game of WWE 2K. I need to pull up my charger to my phone. But it's like watching two kids like push buttons and do finishers and just no logic, just moves. It's very terrible. And I love wrestling, so it's like, there we go. So I love wrestling and I love real wrestling matches, but they just gonna beat each other up. But the next match was one of my favorite wrestlers to the wrestler that I saw that made me a big wrestling fan. Because as a child, the first wrestler I ever come from Memphis. So the first wrestler I ever seen was Jerry the King Lawler. That's my favorite wrestler of all time. I got a picture with him or whatever. I got a story. So I was in Walmart and I was in Target and I'm at the register or whatever, we waiting. And I heard his voice. I heard the voice and I looked. He's standing over there with his young wife. And I went to him and talked to him. And he took a picture of me. One of the greatest moments of my life. I almost passed out. But Jerry King Lawler was the greatest wrestler ever. But as a child, maybe 5 years old, my brother now, we're not supposed to be woke. We flipping through the TV and we saw something called WCW. We didn't know what it was. And it was Chris Jericho and a wrestler named Psychosis. And he rolled them up. And I've been a Jericho fan ever since. That's one of my, if I'm going to do a top two, that's my second favorite wrestler of all time. So in this match, you got Bandito taking on Jericho. They've been going back and forth even through the injury. Bandito got hurt and he was gone for a while. Then he made a comeback and Ring of Honor hurt his neck and was out for a minute, then came back. So you got Bandito who put his mask on the line because Jericho been yanking off his brother name is Hologram. That's a stupid name, but he been yanking off their mask. So it's the Ring of Honor Championship on the line versus Bandito's mask. And this was a very, very physical. Yeah, let me swallow. A very physical and very, very fun match. So Jericho trolled the crowd. So what happened is he grabbed it because he come out with that bat. He grabbed the bat and he hit Bandito and pinned him. 1, 2, 3. It happens. We thinking that he finna yank off Bandito mask. So I really like this part and congrats and cool for AEW for doing this. So they had the wife and the mom of Bandito tell one of the referees, no, he cheated. He used the bat. I was very confused. He was like, he used the bat. So the referee was like, what? And she went and looked in the spot where they said it was and pulled it out. I was like, no. So they restarted the match and Jericho grabbed Bandito's wife by the hair through the ropes. And Bandito came over there, he saved her, and then hit that flippy German suplex movie dude, and then he got the 1, 2, 3. That right far was the happiest I have been the whole pay-per-view because I was confused, and then they brought me back in. I was like, oh my God, Jericho beat Bandito. Oh my God. And then he won. So I was like, oh, this is so great. And then let's move on to our next match. The internet calls him he built like I love Adam Cole, but the internet says he's built like an action figure. He got the body of a banana, but he's a great wrestler that unfortunately got hurt a few times, but now he's back. So in this match, it's a battle just of wrestlers. It's not no egos. It ain't that they don't hate each other. It's just the young Daniel Garcia taking on Adam Cole for the TNT Championship that Daniel Garcia holds. So the last match that Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole had, it came to a time limit draw. And no one won. So in this match, it was no time limit draw, no outside interference, one fall to a finish. They went back and forth the whole match going into the end, and even Daniel Garcia doing Adam Cole's finishers. I'm thinking that they about to put the young they finna put the young Daniel Garcia over so he can retain the belt. Nope. Adam Cole beat the young Daniel Garcia for absolutely no reason. What did you need to beat him for? That's a young kid who really getting over, and because he's a pure wrestler, but he really getting over with the crowd on promos, and you beat him for no reason, clean. So it's like I didn't understand the decision, and then this is when the downfall for me happens. So Adam Cole won, and let's move on. The next match was on the indies, they will call this one a flippy dipping match because you got the man here, the AEW International Champion, Mr. Kenny by God Omega, taking on Mr. Ricochet, taking on Speedball Mike Bailey in a triple threat match for the AEW International Championship. So just imagine what I was saying about Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher fighting each other like it's WWE 2K. These three dudes did probably like 20 minutes straight of move. You get the point. No pinfalls. They fought for 20. I'm an old school wrestler. I want to see pinfall, kick out. I love saying 1, 2, but I say uno, dos, kick out. Like I love that dynamic of a match. Like make us think there's somebody about to win. These folks wrestle like 20, 30 minutes, no pinfalls. They flying all over the apron, flying all over the announce table. They did a spot that they were all three of them is standing on a goddamn apron. and Ricochet put Mike Bailey on his back and slammed him on top of Kenny Omega, who's laying on the barricade. That was move of the night. But these people fought. That was just fighting. And then Kenny Omega did the one wing angel and retained the belt. I was very confused about that decision because I knew Speedball Mike Bailey wasn't winning because he just got there. He just got signed from coming over from TNA. He just got signed. So I knew he wasn't winning, but I was hoping that Ricochet was going to win. Let's be honest. Ricochet needed that win. Him and Swerve really got him over when they wrestled last month for the number one contender match. I'm regretting, but Kenny Omega won. So let's get to the main event. I'm gonna talk about positives, and then we're gonna go straight into the negatives. So positive. Whose house? Swerve's house. Swerve came out dressed like, I wish I had a third, because I'm using my phone to stream, but I wish I could show y'all because I have the video, but on my phone. But Swerve came out dressed like Static Shock. He looked amazing. I thought it was Black Lightning at first, but it was Static Shock. So he comes out and you got top rope catch a vibe. You know, you got Prince Nana dancing down to the ring or whatever. And they come out, they make a grand entrance, beautiful entrance. Then you got the Death Riders. You got Moxley, and you got Mrs. Roderick Strong, Marina Shafir, walking down with the briefcase with the world title in it that we don't see until the pay-per-view. What I was talking about with the other six-man match. So, long story short, the beginning of this match was weird. So, on Dynamite, Moxley and Marina had a tag team match with Swerve and Willow Nightingale, and the match broke down, and Moxley DDT'd Paradigm Shift Willow Nightingale. So Swerve is upset. He back there, whatever. He talking Renee, Moxley's wife, that's a interviewer. She's trying to talk to Swerve. He's like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm looking for your husband. The Death Riders jump Swerve. I'm talking about Wednesday, not yesterday. So they jump him, throw him through a glass box. I thought that was the end. Brought him out to the ring, pulled glass in the ring, and power bombed him on glass. How you doing? I'm gonna go down. Let me go down real fast. Okay. How you doing, Mo? How you doing, Beach Bear? How you doing, Freaky D? How you doing, King David? How you doing? How's the weather up there? How you doing, Didi? How you doing, Tony 38? How you doing, Mr. Jersey? How you doing, Big Key? How you doing, Yikes? How you doing, Rich 33? And how you doing, Hudson? Thank you for being here with me. So they throw him through a glass box, drag him out to the ring, get another bucket, and pour glass in the ring, power bomb on the glass. He laid back and he powers up in defiance. The crowd, Swerve's house, Swerve's house. Now let's go back to what I was just talking about. He getting the grand entrance of him being Static Shock. Coming to the ring, the crowd, whose house? Swerve's house. Whose house? Swerve's house. Moxley and Marina Shafir come out, crowd booing, going crazy. Fuck you, Moxley. Hopefully YouTube don't miss my video for that because I'm dual streaming. Fuck you, Moxley. Well, whatever. Take the world title that's in the suitcase that finally it sees the light of day. They take the world title out. They bring the world title into the ring. We get the match going. Getting this match, if I got beat up by your group and you powerbomb me on glass, I want to fight. They weren't fighting. These folks was wrestling, like pure wrestling. They doing arm holds and leg holds. I'm like, why are y'all doing that? Like, it made zero sense because, say for instance, you having a disagreement with somebody at a job. Y'all having a disagreement. You agree to meet up at somebody's house and fight. Instead of punching each other, y'all start hugging and I'm gonna take you down. That's what it looked like to me. It looks stupid when these folk been beating your ass for weeks. So yeah, that happened. And we're not gonna go through that whole match because they was working. Because I'm a Moxley guy and I love Swerve. Let's get to the important part. Moxley bring out a ladder and tables and acting like a psychopath. We set up the ladder by the announce table. I was looking at the way they set it up, because I wish I had my figures right here, my stuff, so I can show you. I don't want to move, but okay, this is the ladder. This is the announce table. So in logic, if a ladder, when the announce table breaks, it explodes outward. So the ladder is right there. I knew that was going to be a problem because it can't break their way because the ladder is right here. So I'm gonna keep my hand right here. So they climb up the ladder. Mox is on the side where the announce table is. Swerve is on the other side, and he does the swerve stomp from off the ladder through the table. He hurt his knee because he could not fall right because, like I said, when it broke, the wall was up like this. He couldn't fall backwards. He had to crunch his body so he won't hurt himself. He hurt his knee. It didn't bend up on his body, but it bent. He had to keep it bent when he went down. He couldn't extend his leg because he didn't have no room. That was dumb as fuck. So after that, they crawling back into the ring. They get into the ring, and because the referee is just letting them go. So they get into the ring, and then Moxley, I don't know where the shirt came from. He threw a trash swerve, smacked the referee in the face. The referee is down. Like he ain't been letting them hardcore fight the whole time. So I don't understand what he knocked them out for. Adam Page came down. Adam Page and Swerve had an intense rivalry, and he had an intense rivalry with Moxley. I don't want to go through that, but he come down. He holding the ropes. He don't know who to close because his finish is a little front flip clothesline. He don't know who to hit. Oh, I don't know who I'm going to hit. The Death Riders, Claudio and Pac, shoot out. They come out. They beat up Adam Page, but then Samoa Joe, Taz's son, Hook, and Shibata come out. They're fighting with them. How you doing, Max? Welcome to my podcast show. So they're fighting, everybody leaving. Adam Page gets in the ring, hits a reverse power driver. Moxley is down. Swerve is dramatic. The crowd is going crazy. Swerve's out. He pulled Moxley over. He climbs the top rope to do his stomp move. He's selling the knee because his knee is hurt. I can tell. I'm in a wheelchair, so I know what a hurt knee look like. He hurt for real. So he hurt. Why is my computer doing that? Okay. He does the stomp and he's selling the knee. Oh, the knee. Oh, selling, in wrestling. I talk in wrestling terms because I've been a wrestler and I've been a manager. I've been a referee. Before this situation, I did a lot in Memphis. I got even still run the page to a group that I used to manage or whatever. But anywho, so I use a lot of wrestling terms. So he's selling the knee. It's hurting. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. The lights go off. We don't know what's going on. The people in the arena, my ass, we don't know what's going on. They come back in. The old Bucks, the young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, the EVPs, the elite garbage. They come out and they hit Swerve with a weak ass knee finisher and knock Swerve down. And Moxley reign of fucking Raiden terror. I mean, he a Raiden killer. It's been terrible. He won. The crowd went completely silent. They weren't even fuck you, Mox. Boo. They weren't doing none of that. They went quiet for a few seconds and then started just booing because they ain't had no choice. They were sitting there. So you telling me that, let me go back and look at what so you telling me that honestly, FTR and Edge, Cope or whatever, couldn't beat the Death Riders and they beat him up. How you doing, The Bachelor? You telling me they couldn't win the belts? You telling me, honestly, that the young Daniel Garcia couldn't beat Adam Cole? You gonna look me in my damn face and telling me as over as Ricochet is that he couldn't have beat Kenny Omega and Mike Bailey for the AEW International Championship? They chanted Swerve name the whole match. He's the top merch seller in the company. You gonna honestly tell me to my face that Swerve cannot win 2 world titles when Moxley got 4 in like 3 years of this company even being in business? You telling me that the first black champion y'all coming can't win the belt? Y'all jump on him as the EVP. Y'all probably produced this match and he can't win the belt. Is that what you telling me? Honestly, that's what you telling me. I'm gonna give y'all the facial expression I had. So when Swerve did the stump, I'm like, oh, he about to win, he about to win, he about to win, he about to win. The lights went out. The lights came back on. Young Bucks. What the fuck are they out here for? They do the move. Okay, that was trash. They hopping out, they cocky. I'm like, damn. And when Moxley went over and put, I said, oh, okay, I'm going uno, dos, three. And I was just sitting there like this. I was confused because how is it how did that make sense? Do you know what I can compare that to? I compared it to when WWE recently, well, not recently, but maybe a couple years ago, they did Clash in a Castle, where Drew McIntyre was in his home country against the tribal chief Roman Reigns. They used Drew McIntyre to draw in the fans and then had Solo come out and then Roman Reigns keep the belt, and the crowd was confused because they thought their hometown hero was going to win. You know, when his hometown, it was just, they wanted him to win. So you telling me he couldn't win. That's what we doing. But I'm going to keep my live going, but that's my review. And I thought that it was an okay show, but I don't understand why Moxley is still the world champion. I do not understand why Swerve couldn't win. I do not understand why FTR couldn't stay faces and them and Edge hold the 6-man belts. I don't understand why Ricochet didn't win. I don't understand. But I ain't running no company or whatever. I'm just watching like everybody else. But to me, if I'm gonna do a star rating, which I don't want to do, I'm gonna do cardboard because that was BS. And y'all gotta do fan service. Sometimes you act like you despise Vince, Tony Khan, and all these people, but you did. You pulled a Vince McMahon. You just did whatever you wanted, and that was trash. So if you want everybody to be upset and everybody to be sitting there like this, and Khan was saying AEW is the greatest company on earth, then there's that. But I was very disappointed as a fan, and I don't watch the week-to-week show. I watch the clips on YouTube and Instagram when they come out. I will never sit through an AEW show. I only sit through pay-per-views for this type of reason. But that's it. Thank you for watching my review show, and that's it.
Toxic top rope coming for your throat. Random show with input stories I never wrote. Don't be mean, hit that subscribe. Cross the line, take a dive.